So I just watched one of Chris Igo's most recent YouTube video uploads entitled, "The housing market is about to get crushed, worse than the boats at the end of this video." And what is so ironic is that he recorded this video on the opposite side of Florida, Boynton Beach, but had a similar theme to his video yesterday that was closely related to the topic that I discussed about our almost near-death experience dodging multi-million-dollar yachts and cigarette speedboats yesterday on the Intracoastal in Choctawhatchee Bay around Crab Island for this poker run. So make sure you go check it out after you watch this video to see just how bad it was. But back to my reaction to my friend Chris's video. And what I like to do is I like to summarize the video transcripts using some very helpful content creator tools. So when I ran Chris's video through my program, it provided me with a very interesting synopsis of his video's message. And it is as follows. The YouTube influencer begins by describing their trip to Boynton to shoot content, commenting on the unexpected change in weather due to an approaching hurricane. They then transition to a warning about the housing market, predicting a significant downturn, and they emphasize that this won't affect all markets the same, pointing out the high levels of credit card debt and potential financial strain on consumers. They discuss property taxes and risks associated with the Boynton Inlet. Despite challenging market conditions, they note ongoing demand and rising home prices, especially in new construction. And lastly, they highlight that the market will fluctuate and there will be winners and losers in the coming economic shifts before providing viewers with a call to action, informing viewers to subscribe for more insights. Now, all in all, very good stuff. And I honestly didn't expect anything less from Chris Igo, as he has continued to provide the best and most informative information and educational and informative videos and content when it comes to the Florida housing market, real estate, investments, personal finance, economic trends, and most importantly, maxing out South Florida living. And I really want to say thank you for that, because in contrast, I've come across other videos on YouTube that offer far less in terms of value provided to their audience and is purely more of just a waste of time to even create, let alone watch. But there's a reason for this, and I can explain that to you guys in just a moment. And it isn't my own bias and opinion either, as I have run videos through my app, and after processing, I'm provided with summaries like these. The video discusses two pressing issues without providing specific context. Yeah. Now, granted, there are mentions and egregious usage of trending keywords associated with, number one, there being significant concern about the influx of individuals from various countries illegally entering a particular country, and how the issue is causing strain on the economy, public services, and raising questions about the safety and security of the country, stressing the need for advocates to take stronger actions such as bolstering border security and reevaluating the approach to immigration. And number two, the fact that the government is allocating substantial funds to another country, leading to a disagreement among the citizens and their representatives, and the speaker then questions the rationale behind providing such funding, emphasizing that the public has concerns about its economic impact and the wisdom of providing support to the recipient country, with the emphasis being focused on the need for more decisive actions and responsible handling of resources concerning both issues. But the main and primary reason for creating videos like these are to, number one, make money, and number two, to continue stirring the pot and pouring more salt in the wounds. Now, I won't go into great detail on here on YouTube about whose channel this was or the title of his or her video, but if you want to know more, just send me a direct message on Patreon and I'll give you all the tea. And if you want, I can show you all the tricks that these folks are using so that you can identify them better next time and avoid being taken advantage of, or possibly even use them yourself to make hundreds or thousands of dollars each and every day doing the same. The choice is yours. I mean, this is how the rich get rich, right? For instance, I saw that Warren Buffett got the insider track after a phone call he received from the CEO of American Express, who called to warn him ahead of time about the pandemic losses. And now we know that Berkshire dumps 4.8 million shares of HP before they begin to unload more and sell more companies in the coming days. Berkshire Hathaway shuts down Maryland Cove Point LNG, liquid natural gas export plant, and buys up more dividend-paying stock in huge tech company that isn't Apple, investing heavily in AI, artificial intelligence, while jobs are being cut and salary and wages for retail employees get slashed. Meanwhile, Bill Gates is trying to wipe out all of our oxygen so that we can't breathe anymore, and says planting trees is complete nonsense and pushes for the end to come faster in regard to the end of the oil and gas era finally in his sights. More job loss, folks, as the UAW picket lines will be redirected to unemployment offices, and the lines will be getting longer soon if we keep this up. But don't worry, because Bill and Melinda Gates, they do a good thing and donate $200 million from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to help save mothers and children during childbirth, which is more than likely tied to scientific studies and more research that benefit their underlying agenda and continue to preserve their wealth and vast and diverse investment portfolios. No comment, folks. Now, let me get back on track here, okay? Okay, so Chris first begins by pointing out a common and very relatable topic and possibly the most basic form of conversation starters and icebreakers known to man. He starts off by talking about the weather, as he is sitting in his car in the rain and pointing out how the weather forecast is most often wrong in their future predictions of what they think is likely to happen. And he says, just like every other forecast that exists, and they are mostly wrong. From here, he begins to make the tie in connection to forecasts and predictions of the next housing market crash. And I have to say that at this point, he has probably lost a good 90% of his audience's attention, because I honestly don't believe that they are tuned in to hear what he really has to say, which is the absolute God's honest truth. And to put it simply, he's speaking on a high level to an audience that may be closer to a second or third grade reading level, if I'm just being honest. But we will continue on. As Chris states, he feels as though he has a moral responsibility to warn people, potential home buyers, likely future homeowners and sellers, renters, landlords, investors, basically anyone and everyone with a pulse right now about what is about to happen to the housing market as well as other markets, how it's going to get absolutely crushed. But more importantly, what will happen first, which will begin the domino effect of mass financial wipeout in housing markets all across the country. And odds are these leading indicators will not just be isolated to the US markets and folks here in America, but all over the world. It's basically simple macro and microeconomics, money and finance. So he says that the undeniable truth is that Americans owe over $1 trillion in credit card debt. And credit card companies are racking up losses faster than they have in 30 years, faster than they did during the great financial crisis. And in a nutshell, debt eats equity. Now, I do like how Chris Igo points out that property taxes are likely not the blame, or will not be the blame, for household financial stress, since Florida doesn't even rank in the top 10 lists for most expensive property tax states, before providing a list of those states, which include New Jersey, Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York, Massachusetts, Illinois, Vermont, Rhode Island, California, and Washington State, which is actually a really funny story, because I remember when Chris uploaded a very comical and hilarious video for entertainment purposes only about why he was leaving Florida and ultimately flying to Washington State, that has since produced some of the most interesting comments that I have seen lately on a YouTube video, not to mention getting a viral explosion of views at more than 400% more views than subscribers to his channel. So that was definitely a win for sure. So bravo, Chris, you crushed that one. And obviously he's back in Florida, so there's that. And he makes a point to mention that most of his clients looking to relocate to Florida are typically from one of the aforementioned higher property tax states. Now, this is the part of the video where things start heating up as he begins talking about the dangers of boating and inexperienced or far too courageous captains who capsize and wreck wavy boats going in and out of the Boynton Inlet, some of whom risking life or death, and best case scenario, walking or rather swimming away after having been rescued by the Coast Guard, only to see their expensive boat sink to the bottom of the sea to become a expensive ornamental yacht decoration for snorkelers and scuba divers to explore the wreckage in the future. Side note, that would make for some great YouTube content and would more than likely be very valuable and profitable for the channel creator. But again, I'm getting sidetracked here. All right, so here we go again with an analogy of what I would say is novice risk-taking boaters is to absolutely getting demolished as homeowners, home buyers, and sellers are to about to get crushed. And Chris reinforces this principle by stating that the housing market is going to get crushed, just like the government and their fiscal policy is going to get crushed because their debt levels are unsustainable. Ring a bell? Sound familiar? So I would like to point out and say that this is a rather important part of the video, and we should all pay very close attention to what Chris just said, that while the housing market dynamics in his hyperlocal market have certainly changed and they'll continue to change, and there is still tremendous demand and the scarcity of homes available for sale, which is a long way of getting to many of the markets that he services, he is continuously seeing the home values increasing, and builders are capitalizing on their supply because they control the supply and they continue to raise prices in new construction communities. And Chris said that he has clients, people just like you, that are looking to buy new construction that had sticker shock when they saw how expensive the prices were because they thought there may be a little bit more of a discount in pricing. But builders in his market aren't discounting anything at all. And so in conclusion, it's not going to change until homeowners are feeling financial pain. But with over $1 trillion of credit card debt out there in the population, he knows it's only a matter of time until some folks feel that financial pain because some consumers are feeling pain already now that is sufficient enough to make them stop paying for their credit card bills. And the telltale sign of financial crisis hits credit card payments first, and they are the first to go. So Chris said they're a leading indicator of the financial pain that is coming, and next up will be cars, and next up after automobile loan default and repos will be houses. And when the fire sale begins, everyone will be impacted because it only took 10% of the overall market to be in distress to bring down the overall market by 30%. And that was at least the last time the housing market crashed. But this time will likely be different and people are going to get hurt, period, point blank, no matter what, end of story. Meanwhile, other people are going to make lots and lots of money and they're going to win. And other well-capitalized, opportunistic individuals and institutions are going to capitalize on that because the markets, the stock market, the housing market, the real estate market, or any other market is always good for someone, and real estate will always trade. So buckle up, folks, and make sure you go check out Chris Igoe's channel and his most recent video because he has some gnarly boats going full throttle trying to pass through the inlet. And besides the beautiful women on board and the tiniest of bikinis, there are some insane boats that, as the title of his video says, only get crushed worse than the housing market is about to.